everybody. How y'all doing? How y'all living? Tasha checking in with another video, and this is going to be none other than my week 5 update of the Diddy trial. Okay, if it's your first time joining me, go ahead and like this video, comment in the comment section, and most importantly, subscribe to the Redefine Me channel. We have a good, great time over here. All right, y'all. So I have not seen y'all in a long time. June has been such a busy, busy month for me. However, I am still keeping my ear to the good old streets for the Diddy trial. And so I wanted to come on and give you all some week 5 updates. Okay. Now, I had some other updates going on, but basically, it was just a testimony of Jane, and it was just a lot going on with her testimony. And so I just said I was going to just skip right on over the former notes, and we just going to get into the recent days of events so I can keep up to date with y'all with what is going on in this trial. Okay. And so on Friday, excuse me, y'all. On Friday, these are my notes from Friday. Okay. So they did meet today on Monday, but of course, those notes are still being worked on. I'm going to work on Monday and Tuesday notes and come back out on Wednesday to give you all those notes as well. But Friday was very explosive. Okay. And we're going to get into why in a minute because it was just a lot going on. Okay. First thing that happened, right? So one of the juror number 6, is going to be possibly dismissed from the trial. So this is why they end up having backup jurors, things like that, so that in the event that one of the jurors cannot perform or live up to their duties as a juror, they dismiss them and they put in the fill-in in the trial, right? Okay, so juror number 6 has some issues, and these issues was very minor to me. I felt like the judge was just doing too much, in my opinion. But on the flip side of it, I could see how the judge could be kind of like iffy about if he wanted this juror to continue on and be a part of this trial. Okay, so juror number 6 is the judge was saying that the juror has inconsistent statements and conversation in the robing room. Okay, so this was away from the courtroom, it was behind the scenes, and he was saying that it's tough for him to travel from New Jersey to New York every day for this trial. Now, they were supposed to have picked jurors that were from NYC. What's going on? Welcome to the live, everyone that's coming in. They were supposed to only pick jurors that were from NYC. However, he alluded to the fact that he now lives in New Jersey. But then he backtracked and said that he lives in the Bronx with his fiance. And then he backtracked again and said that he recently moved from the Bronx and moved to New Jersey. So this juror number 6 is given a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of pushback. And this is why the judge was probably like, I don't know if I want to continue to have them on the case, because if he cannot give a consistent, what's up, Ross? What's up, SG Looks? Welcome to the live, everybody. Go ahead and hit that like button when you're coming in. The judge is saying for the Diddy trial, if he is given inconsistencies about the fact of where he lives at, how do we know that he's going to be able to properly give a concise judgment when it is time to give a ruling and everything? And I don't really think that, and the defense was saying that shouldn't really matter. That's not going to make it one way or another. He should be able to conduct himself in this case, right? But the judge was just saying, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to, be able to be coherent for this trial. And so the judge is still trying to make a decision if he wants to keep juror number 6 in this case, or if he wants to dismiss juror number 6. In my opinion, he was doing too much. I mean, listen, juror number 6, he moved, he didn't move, who cares? The main thing is he going to be able to properly be able to say, I'm going to be able to rule on this trial. Okay. Okay. So, oh yeah, what's up, Ross? I don't have the donation buttons as of yet. Okay, working on that. And that's why I need you all to subscribe to the channel. I'm very, very close to being able to release those donation buttons on my channel. Okay, so let's move on to the next events that happened at the D trial, and this was on Friday. So it was a very exciting trial. First of all, one of the jurors, like I just finished reporting, is possibly going to get removed from the case. We don't know that because he has these inconsistencies with where he's living at, if he's living in New Jersey or New York, and the judge wasn't really pleased with that. I didn't think it was a big deal, but the judge did. Okay, and then we get to Mr. Kanye West, right? So Kanye West pulled up to the court on Friday in true Kanye West fashion. You know, he had on all white. His head was shaved bald. He had on some glasses and stuff. He pulled up to the courtroom, okay, because he is a close friend of Diddy's. And so I'm thinking that they were going to let Kanye West sit in the main courtroom, but no. Kanye West had to sit in the overflow room with which was the media room, and he was in that room with one of Diddy's sons. And so he sat beside Diddy's son. He stayed in there for a little bit. Kanye West only stayed for like maybe 20 minutes and then he left. Okay. So it was a bunch of just, bells and whistles, had people talking, oh, Kanye West in the building, Kanye West in the building. Is he going to testify? Is he going to come up to the courtroom? Trying to get some fluff behind it. But Kanye West, he just pulled up real quick to show himself. And then he stayed for 20 minutes. Then he left. Okay. So it wasn't nothing really big and major, but it was something that, piqued the interest of a lot of people that's covering the case, a lot of people that is talking about the case. Okay. So moving right along. So the next thing that they talked about on Friday was text messages that was released between KK and D-Rock. Okay. KK cell phone was found back in 2023, and she sent a text message to Diddy, and the text message came back from Diddy to her, I'm sorry. And it was just saying from him to KK, make sure Jane isn't doing anything dumb. Make sure she is paying her rent. Okay. And so y'all know that Jane, and they was talking about Jane, that Jane testified that she was a girlfriend of Diddy's up until he got arrested, and he was paying her rent. And so this text message was coming from Diddy to KK saying, make sure she's paying her rent. We also get a text message that is from D-Rock, that was one of his securities back in 2024. And they found a cell phone, I'm sorry, in 2024, which is last year, that was D-Rock's. And the message was from 2017, actually. And he was talking about Cassie. It was a message from Cassie saying that Diddy broke her door, that she's not messing with anybody. I need you to help me out and all this other stuff. She's talking to D-Rock. I need you to get my keys for my apartment. D-Rock was saying, oh, I can't get the keys from my boss or whatever, talking about Diddy. Okay. And so the prosecution with releasing these certain text messages, they were trying to say that Diddy was relying on his staff for doing things for him and performing criminal activity. Okay. And so we get on to a new witness on the stand. This is going to be a special agent, and his name is Adrian Million. Okay. Adrian Million works with the Department of Human Trafficking. Okay. He was at the LA home during the riot. So during that riot at the LA home, he seized and processed evidence. Okay. So he works in a human trafficking, and he seized and processed evidence at the LA home. Okay. So he was actually working. He actually was working within 3 different areas of that LA home, because it was a huge home, right? So we had the main home, you had the gym, you had the studio, and you had a sauna. So Diddy had all this beautiful home, all these different rooms and stuff. And Andre Million was the one that sees certain things out of the home during their LA raid. Okay. So they talked about the master bedroom. Okay. They showed the master bedroom as evidence. And inside the master bedroom, they show in the nightstand that it had 6 envelopes that was marked with the letters K on the envelope, which is the envelopes tested positive for ketamine. I don't really know what that is. I'm pretty sure it's a drug substance. Okay. But I didn't get into the details of finding out what that was exactly. Okay. They also said in the drawers of the nightstand in the master bedroom, they found Diddy's passport. They found money. They found Molly. And that was all that was in that drawer of the nightstand. Okay. Also in that home, in the closet, they found certain clothes and lingerie. They found baby oil. They found Astroglide, and they found lingerie. Okay. It was very organized in that said closet. They found 600 bottles of baby oil, 900 bottles of Astroglide, and it was very neatly well put together. I always wondered to myself, why do you need that much? If anybody has ever used baby oil, you already know that one bottle of baby oil can last you for like 6 months. So I'm just like, dang, that is a lot of just nasty, evil, freaked out stuff that was going on because you're using all of this stuff that I don't understand why you needed it like that. That's just crazy to me. Okay. They got into talking about the weapons that Andre Million has seized, and he said rifles, he sees Glocks, he sees pistols, 59 bullets were found. Only one firearm had the serial number scratched off of it, and he said it looked like that it had, been scratched off or buffed off or something like that. He said that it was in a security room that all these weapons were, and it was a large amount of weaponry, and probably so because he has security detail, and so they had to protect him, protect his house, and that's why the weapons were such a large amounts. Okay. The prosecution brought up that they saw Diddy nodding again to the jury, so y'all already know that. Back up a little bit. Last time I reported with y'all, maybe not actually last time, but the day before, I don't know. But the last time I brought y'all information that he was nodding rigorously, okay, to the jury, and the prosecution did not like that, and the judge told him like stop nodding or else. And so again, he was nodding again to the jury, right? But the judge this time was not as strict. The judge this time was like, listen, I can't police every one of Diddy's moves, right? He is human being. He seemed like he was just nodding in engagement and not necessarily nodding trying to intimidate the jury. So the judge kind of let that one slide. Okay. We get to a new witness on the stand, and his name is Jonathan Perez. Now, Jonathan Perez was Diddy's assistant. Okay. He was also granted immunity. So if anything, if anything, all of these people were granted immunity in this case that's coming up on the stand, it appears, because they're just trying to cover their butts in the event that the stuff that they're saying bounce back on them and they end up being in the mix, right? What's up, Kim? Welcome to the live. So he was granted immunity, right? So Jonathan tells us that he started working at the end of 2021 in December for Diddy. Okay. He doesn't call him Diddy though, he calls him Mr. Combs. He started in December of 2021 up until Diddy was arrested. So he stayed being his assistant from that period of time. KK reached out to him, which is Christina Korm. We know that is Diddy's ace boon coon. She reached out to him and she did a interview with him, and then he went on a 1-week trial, and then he took the job. Okay. He says he worked at his LA home and his Miami home. He was making $85,000. Okay. And toward the end of when Diddy was about to get arrested, he was making well over 6 figures. So this was probably the highest paid worker that we have seen since this trial has started. Okay. He said that his duties entailed like setting up the freak offs, right? But he didn't call them freak offs. He called them king nights. Okay. That was what he called them. He said he would pack materials, but for Diddy to be gone between 12 to 24 hours, he would pack liquor, music, red lights, honey, of course, the baby oil, clothes, and etc. Okay. He will also book these rooms at these hotels, as well as a travel agent named Jessica Roez. I'm probably saying her name wrong, but Miss Jessica, she will book them as well. He said he would go to sex toy shops and he would buy sex toys, lingerie, Astroglide, and he would help clean up after the king nights so that it wouldn't be such a burden on the hotel staff. He also said he would get money from the security in order to buy these said things. He said he will also help with the IV drips. Now, the IV drips always drew me, to the left, because I'm like, what could you possibly be doing so bad and going so hard at that you would need an IV drip, like an IV in your arm, a drip? Is just really crazy to me. But anyway, he said he would help with that as well. Okay. KK and Jonathan, he was on the stand right now, had a recording that was released that was played in the courtroom. Okay. And so before we get to that recording, there was a video, and the recording was actually centered around this video. Now, a video was released on the staff's iPad. So the staff in Diddy's houses, they had their own iPad that they used, I guess, to, get orders, log in, and see what they needed to do for the day, things like that. But on their iPad was a sex tape that involved Jane, Diddy's girlfriend up until he got arrested, and another black man that they did not release that name, and Diddy was on this tape. And so the recording between KK and Jonathan was of them discussing who was at the residence that saw this tape from the staff. And he was just saying there was only like one person, maybe two people. And she was just saying, well, let's get rid of it. Let's tell Diddy about it and everything. And they did actually go and tell Diddy about this tape that all the staff members in his house had seen. He was shocked at first, and then he just kind of let it go. KK, she was saying that she wanted to know that she wanted to talk to anybody who has seen it, kind of get their story on it. When you have a staff of people working for you, you want to make sure that they don't go and run to the tabloids and try to get a healthy payday. So that's why she was probably trying to, talk to the staff and work that down. Okay. Jonathan said he was trying to save Diddy. He wanted to destroy the evidence so that the staff wouldn't get a hold of it. But then he changed his mind and said maybe we should hold on to the tape just in case something goes down where he does need to say it tape. And I don't know what that could be, but that's what Jonathan was alluding to. And so they did not destroy the tape, I believe. They didn't speak on what happened to it. Then they get into asking Jonathan, which was Diddy's assistant from 2021 up until he got arrested, about drugs and money. Okay. He said, like other witnesses have said on the stand, that they would carry a Gucci pouch with drugs and money in it. These drugs, it could have a plethora of drugs inside of it and a plethora of money inside of it. He also had to be responsible for putting that pouch inside of a backpack that Diddy would carry as well. They also showed us text messages that was exchanged between John and another staff member that was talking about the drugs and the purchase of the drugs. They were saying that they would give $700 to the dealers for the drugs, and $500 would be for other items they would have to go to the store and get. They had another text message that Jonathan was saying he had to withdraw $2,100 for the guys that was coming to the said King Nights, which is the freak offs that we know them as. Another text message was saying he had to withdraw $3,500 for guests, which was the people that attended the freak offs or the King Nights, right? And so all of these text messages were alluding to the fact that he was paying sex workers, which in turn is criminal, which in turn is what they're trying to prove. Okay. And so that's why they're bringing out all these text messages of all these different prices of what they were paying these sex workers for. Okay. What else happened? Hold on, y'all. I take a lot of notes because it's a lot of stuff going on in this trial. Okay. What else happened? So June of last year, June 18th and 19th of 2024, Jonathan says, he gives us this story and says that he was FaceTime by Diddy. Okay. When he picked up the FaceTime, Diddy looked angry and he wanted Jonathan to tell Jane that he was on a trip with Jess Kim Porter and his children for a family vacation and that there wasn't another woman. Okay. So if you rewind, they had someone on the stand that had reported that Diddy had an argument with Jane. And I think it was Jane that had testified to this, saying that they got in an argument because she believed he was on a trip with another woman and not just his family. So Jonathan got on the FaceTime and he did confirm that Diddy was on this said trip with Jess Kim Porter and the children, not another woman. Okay. Jonathan, we also see a text between him and KK. And hold on. And the text message is that KK wants Jonathan to pick up Diddy after this argument with Jane. Jonathan says he's on his way to go pick up Diddy. Then he gets a text message back from Diddy, and Diddy is saying, you don't have to come and pick me up. I guess he was going to stay there with Jane or what have you. Okay. He says that he stopped working for Diddy because he wanted to avoid testifying and avoid a criminal situation like what he's going through right now. And so he actually wanted to avoid it, but he ended up getting into it anyway. Okay. Jonathan, when they asked him how do you feel about Diddy right now, he said that he thinks Diddy is cool. Diddy is fine. He don't have no issues with Diddy. Even up until this day, he's fine with him. Right. And so I just thought that, when you think about Jonathan's testimony, right? Basically, his whole testimony was summed up of him saying, he was my boss. He was saying that when he did those king night situations, that was a personal time, that wasn't business. He said when he had to set up these rooms and everything like that, that was 1% of his job. The other parts of his job was very professional and was geared towards, working and doing what an assistant does, right? And so that's why I feel like he doesn't feel a huge negative way about Diddy, because of the mere fact that he just felt like it's just was his job. Like that's just what he had to do. Okay. So the cross examination got up, right? And Jonathan again doubles down on the good accolades that he has to say about Diddy. He said that he motivated him. He said that he did not see firearms outside of the security. He also was asked about Jane. He said that Jane alluded to the fact that she wanted to marry Diddy. Okay, so y'all know that Jane's testifying that he was forcing her into these freak offs and all this other stuff. But Jane credibility to me is shot, because Jane is the last woman that was with Diddy, right? And I'm not trying to victim blame or anything like that, but Jane is on the stand and she's alluding to the fact really that she's a fun time girl, right? And that she got involved with Diddy and maybe she didn't want to do all of these freak offs that he wanted to do, but she still participated. Why? Because he was paying her rent, and she ended up doing the OnlyFans and different things like that. So in my mind, I'm like, she's not really a victim, in my opinion, to bring up on the stand, because she entered into a contract with him and he was paying her rent and doing all this stuff. So of course she had to do whatever he wanted her to do, right? And so Jane to me is one of them witnesses where I'm just kind of like, girl, you was down for the cause because you wanted the money, you wanted to get your rent paid and all of that. And then Jonathan tells us that she wanted to even marry Diddy, right? He says that Jane even would plan some of these king night freak off situations. He said that of course this was a private time for him and other women, and that's what it was. It was only 1%, like I told y'all, of his job, and he was not most of the time that wasn't what he was doing with Diddy. He says that he helped Jane pick out outfits sometimes, and they were very cool and very nice and cordial with each other. He said after these king night situation happened that Jane was a part of, she didn't seem unhappy. She didn't seem like she had an issue or that anything was wrong and things of that nature. Okay. Da-da-da. And that was the end of his testimony. I think Diddy, hold on, let me see. Did I leave out anything? Okay, almost the end of his testimony. At the end of the cross examination, they was asking about the money. Jonathan said he wasn't sure if Diddy had used personal funds and the business funds in order to book these king nights or these freak offs at the hotels and everything. So he did not know about that. He said that Jane, like I said, helped coordinate some of these king nights, so she's not as innocent as she might try to appear to seem on the stand. He said and so all of these questioning everything with Jonathan, everything that's going on with the money X and all of these questions and all of that. The prosecution is just trying to allude to the fact that they're trying to see if Diddy actually used the resources and his staff to cover up criminal acts. And so that is the whole point of this whole trial, really. And Jonathan's testimony was to see if he was in fact using his staff to cover up these criminal acts and do all of these different type of racketeering and sex trafficking and all of that. And so that was week 5, and I'm not even sure of the day, but we're in week 5 of the testimony, and it was of Jonathan, his assistant, who really just testified that he was just doing his job. This man liked to party like a rock star in his private life, and he didn't see anything crazy outside of the drugs and the money and stuff like that going on. And he said when he had to clean up these hotel rooms, he would clean it up as to help the hotel staff. Not really that he had to do it, but just that he would help the hotel staff, right? So it wouldn't be such a burdensome on them. And so that was the end of his testimony, and we're kind of up to date on what's going on in the trial. Again, like I told y'all, Kanye West pulled up for about 20 minutes. Kanye West need to go find something to do, right? I guess he had time. Okay, so he said, "Let me just pull up and testify." Bro, don't he got that's in him? One of his songs, "Come Up in the Spot, Looking Extra Fly." I gotta testify. So he just pulled up real quick And I think he thought that he was going to sit in the main courtroom, but they did not allow him to sit in the main courtroom because if you think about it, it would have caused the jury to be off focus. They would have been kind of looking at Kanye West, trying to figure out why he was there, trying to see if he was going to get on the stand and testify. Like the jury would have just, their focus would have been off. So when the judge ruled to put him in like the media room and put him somewhere else, I thought that that was a really good decision because we don't need no distractions from Kanye West rolling up in the courtroom, right? And so he was out there in the other room, in the media room, sitting beside one of Diddy's sons outside of just the main courtroom. And so we didn't need all of that, okay? And so yeah, so Friday was a very eventful day. So we shall see. They were in court today on Monday and they'll be in court on Tuesday. And so I'm going to cover Monday and Tuesday, and I will be back on Wednesday to give you all today and Tuesday's sauce of what happened. We're going to figure out if juror number 6 is going to be dismissed from the trial because he has some inconsistencies about his living situation. I don't think that should cause him to be dismissed, right? Even the defense was saying that that particular juror and all the jury staff has been very engaged. They have been very productive, taking notes and things like that. And so I don't know if this judge was just having one of them bad days where he wanted to just pick with somebody. I guess I don't know, but I don't think that the juror should be dismissed just because he was inconsistent about his living. He moved. And so, maybe he got tripped up. Like maybe he does have two places. Maybe he still lives in the Bronx and in New Jersey because they wanted jurors that lived in New York to be on the stand. I don't know why that was important, but whatever. I guess so that they would be able to get to court on time and it wouldn't be no issues, right? And so we're going to see when I come back on Wednesday and I report to you all if that particular juror number 6 is going to be dismissed from this trial or if they're going to stay on this trial, okay? And so this was not very a long video I had for y'all. I just gave y'all the updates of Friday because I wanted to get up to date. I didn't want to backtrack and give y'all other things that I had written down because I had been missing for a couple of days. I've been out of town. June has been a very, very busy month. And so I didn't want to backtrack. And so I went ahead and just gave y'all the up to date of what happened on Friday, all of the bells and whistles. And then I'm going to come back on Wednesday and give you all what happened on today, which is Monday, and on Tuesday. And then we're going to talk about that. Okay. Now, if you all have been missing some of the Diddy trial, if you don't really know what's going on, you can go ahead and go on my channel. I have done kept up with the Diddy trial up until this point. And so you can go on my channel and watch the previous Diddy's trials and get up to date on what's going on. Okay. And so this is week number 5. They have 6, 7, 8. I think they have 3 more weeks in this trial, okay, until they come to some type of decision or verdict in if he's going to spend life in prison or if he's just going to get a certain period of time in prison. I've already told y'all I do not believe that Diddy is going to spend life in jail. I believe he's going to get some time, yes, but I do not believe he's going to spend life because the main point of this trial is to prove if he is using his funds from his company and his staff to commit criminal activity. Now they have proven it with certain things, like the Kid Cudi incident. They proven it with kind of the Cassie situation. They proven certain things with other people that have been called on the stand, right? But in my opinion, so far they haven't proved a large majority of the fact that he has been doing some criminal activity. Now I'm pretty sure, hands down, that he has been doing criminal activity, but it hasn't been an overwhelming amount of circumstantial evidence that he's been doing a lot of criminal activity. Now, I believe, yes, he's been doing illegal drugs. I believe that he has been flying in sex workers and having that part going on. But a lot of this, when these women get on the stand, a lot of it is them wanting to party with a powerful, wealthy man. But then when it turns out that he wants to get a little bit more freakier than they're probably used to, then they want to back out of it and they don't want to be involved. And my thing is, if you did the incident one time with them and it turned into this really freaky situation that you did not like, you didn't have to go back a second, third time. You could have blocked them. You could have went on with your life. You could have said, I don't want to be involved with Diddy. He's crazy or whatever. He wants to do all this type of stuff, and I'm not want to get into it. And so it wasn't like he was holding them hostage, right? Even though the only one that alluded to the fact that he would just be like calling them, showing up and things like that was Cassie. So I think that's why he ended up paying Cassie off as quickly as he did, because he knew that he was, showing up at Cassie's place when she was on set doing movies, showing up at her house, doing all type of reckless stuff. And so other than Cassie, the rest of the women that has been on the stand seem like they really, want to be involved with a wealthy, powerful man. And they just, got involved, and he did a little bit too much stuff and they wasn't with it. And so, it just brought up some memories of that. But if he wasn't holding you hostage, why you just leave? Don't deal with them no more, because it wasn't like he was pursuing and coming after those people. It seemed like Cassie was his main person. Sorry, y'all, I had something on my lip. His main person that he was going after like that. And so, again, I don't want victim blame on nobody, right? I really, really don't. I wasn't there. Their experiences is their experiences. However, they got to prove this, because you're talking about somebody's life here. And so they have to prove that he has done some heinous things that is going to land him in jail for a long time. So we're going to see. We have, like I said, 3 weeks left of this trial, because this is week number 5, so 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so the trial is supposed to be for 2 months. So I don't know if it's going to extend over into 2 months, if they're going to call everybody need to call or whatever. I'm shocked at how this is going so far, because in my mind, I thought that we were going to have like some type of celebrity witnesses testifying. I really did. And when Kanye West popped up, I really thought that maybe he was going to pull up and testify, right? But that didn't happen. Okay, he was just pulling up to get some antics and bells and whistles going on with this with this case, right? But I'm shocked that they're not having anybody else that was at these parties testify. And it's crazy, because if y'all were at this man's party, and we have seen video clips where they all look like it's a stone cold groove, right? They look like they having a good time and everything. And none of you all that are celebrities have pulled up to speak to how much of a good person he is, how much of a good time it just was at the parties, that he would never do anything like this. Like, I don't understand why none of the celebrities that was at his parties have come forward in his defense. And I'm really thinking, what's up, Crooks? Welcome to the live. I'm really thinking it's because they don't want to be implicated, or they don't want their stuff to be called out, because they were probably involved in some of these back room shady mess that was going on, right? So they just don't want to be in the mix. And so I don't know, we shall see. We got 3 weeks left in the trial, so I don't know, maybe some celebrity might come forward, maybe someone might speak to him being a good guy, I guess. I don't know. But as far as what I am observing, Diddy doesn't say he's not a good guy, but I do feel like he's a guy that liked to party. I don't know if he actually is someone who was involved in sex trafficking. Now, when you get into sex trafficking, again, you're paying somebody to come from another state or another country to come over to where you're at to perform sexual acts and things like that. And so that's when it gets into sex trafficking. And so I think that has kind of been proven already. But when we get into racketeering and RICO and all of that, I don't know if they've been proving it so far in this case. As far as what I'm observing, and I've been keeping my ear to the streets on the case, I don't really think they've been proving all of that, all of the things that they're trying to pin on him, right? And so, like I said, I don't think he's getting life. At the most, I'm thinking he might get 10 years. And who knows? He rubbed elbows with Donald Trump back in the day, so Donald Trump may pardon him. Who knows? Donald Trump is handing out pardons these days. And so, he was at them Diddy parties. So he may pardon him, for being, back in the day, rubbing elbows with him. I don't know, but I will say that we are going to see what happens with this case, and I really want to just fast forward. Okay, yeah, he was. So I really want to fast forward and get to the verdict. Like, I would love to just get to the verdict of what is going to be with Diddy. But yeah, I'm going to be right here covering it with y'all. If y'all have not seen the backtrack of the other the coverage that I've done, it is on my channel. You can go back and watch it. So I hope you all have had a blessed and beautiful Monday. I'm going to go ahead and get off of here because I have covered it. It wasn't really a long video. So if you want to go back and watch it to see what you have missed or what I covered, you can go ahead and do that. Shout out to the replay watchers. Thank you all so much for joining and watching. Go ahead and make sure you like this video, and most importantly, you subscribe to the channel. Please share this video to your friends, your family, your loved ones, your cousins, your baby daddy, your baby mama, whoever. Share it, because y'all, we are so close to 1K subscribers. We are so close to 1K subscribers, and I believe that I can get that before the year is out. So please like, comment in the comment section, and subscribe. Guess what? Liking the video, commenting, and subscribing is free 99. It's free 99. You don't have to pay anything for it. Nothing is going to be compromised. Your credit card won't be used. Your social security won't be used. None of that. It's free 99 to hit the subscribe button and to hit the like button and to leave some comments so that we can get the algorithm flowing with my videos. And so I love y'all so much. If y'all also want to see other content before you subscribe, to see if I'm the type of person that you want to watch on YouTube, I have a plethora of content on my channel. You can go back and watch some of the things that I have talked about on my channel to see if I'm your type of sauce, if I'm your type of vibe. And if I am, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Okay. And welcome to the Redefine Me family in advance. Okay. I love y'all. Thank y'all for joining me. I'm going to get off of here because I got to work tonight. So I'm going to try to go rest up a little bit before I have to go to work. Okay. I love y'all. Talk to y'all later.